Welcome back. Here we are, KLEAN Radio.
Exchanging numbers in the studio.
All right, we got our last 15 minutes here. So it's been a great night so far. Try and close it, although we're fighting the Bin Laden death.
Are you allowed to say fighting anymore? Is that politically correct?
Well,
quarreling, I think.
Yeah.
I guess nobody's going to get addicted over this. You think people are addicted?
You know what? Can I tell you
like,
something?
Yeah.
I have every single one of my... I have seen about 600 Facebook posts about the capturing... Like, it is really funny. Like, so many of my liberal friends going, we killed him. You know, and I'm like...
We killed him.
An eye for an eye, you know, and...
Leviticus.
And, yeah. and...
Good Catholic.
And it is an addiction. I mean, I remember after 9/11, I was living in New York at that time, and... I was there, and I mean, the addiction people had to the news. I mean, where people were, I mean, they had to give people were getting therapy afterwards because they could not stop watching the news. And
well, it's also watching that repetitive trauma.
Right, and then feeling it, and then
over identifying.
Right,
Same thing with that a-hole, the O.J. Simpson trial.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I got to be honest. You know, it's amazing you said it because I remember I was so upset that they were showing it because I think it was the Rangers finally won the Stanley Cup. You know, after 54 years.
94.
94, the Rangers won the Stanley Cup, and I'm like, damn, OJ. You know, let us New Yorkers enjoy this. You know, Rangers moment, and people were addicted to the O.J. Simpson trial. People are. It is an addiction.
Well, and then they were addicted to the recount on the
Florida thing?
the Florida thing during the Bush-Gore election. I mean, that was from... Well, it said, fortunately, that it was only like 2 months of that, but it was like constant.
Natalie Holloway.
I mean, people look for distractions from their crappy lives. They're like, hey, look, this life is even crappier than mine.
Well, what was his name? The guy that killed his wife in Modesto.
Scott Peterson?
Scott Peterson, right. Yeah. Everybody in America, like on a day-to-day basis, you know, was Scott Peterson.
Dr.
Well, I have a feeling that he was, you know, Doc, you can, maybe you can psychoanalyze this. I remember when I saw that case, come to the forefront, come to the public attention. And there was this gathering at some hotel lobby where they were handing out, flyers and stuff like that. And all the people in the town were going to bandy together and go out and see what they can do to maybe find her.
Right.
And I remember that they were showing Scott Peterson, and he was in the lobby, like, talking, and he was joking around with the people. And, and I thought to myself, oh my God, I mean, if my pregnant wife were missing, I might be like pleasant to the people, but I doubt I'd be like, like, hey, come on, don't worry, laugh. And
it's like it's been 6 days, let it go already.
Well, it's amazing how unaware people can be of their actual own behavior, right?
He was right.
Well, definitely. Would he be a narcissist?
He was celebrating. I mean,
he was celebrating.
Hey, he's single again. He's like, I'm stoked. I'm single. No wife.
He's like
no
walking
kids,
out, going like, going like this to the reporters. Hey.
And there was also a possibility.
Talk about a lack of insight.
But there was a possibility he might have done this before. That he might have even may have even been a serial killer, and that when he was at college, apparently 2 women wound up gone, disappeared, that he knew. And so I'm wondering if this was, a possibility of it. I mean, I'm not asking you to tell me whether you think it is or not, but but because you're not a forensic or a profiler.
He was a psychopath. There's no question about it.
I mean, it's fairly rare, right? There aren't that many psychopaths that actually are killers, right? I mean, it's not like...
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
well, we actually have somebody tonight listening to the show that's in the FBI. If they have any opinions on this,
we're going to run out of time.
We are going to run out of time.
But I mean, we don't have. It's certainly not a huge percentage of the population. Otherwise, we'd be.
Well, probably. Yeah, not all murderers are psychopaths.
Right.
But and
there's a lot of murders, but there's very few serial killers that we know of. Sort of.
Well, because most of them don't get caught.
Well, that's not true.
But
I watch a lot of Forensic Files. Okay,
This is why I wonder sometimes with Judah.
I watch a lot
He's
of.
an expert because he watches.
I watch a lot of.
Files.
you watch too much
It's the
TV,
difference
Jay.
between fact and truth.
I watch a lot of
Dr. Coe here
investigation
went to school.
discovery.
Wait. Dr. Coe went to school for how long? 12 years.
Yes, and
Right?
I went to
And
the
you
school.
went- and you watched Forensic Files.
Yeah,
of
but Judah watches True TV,
Yeah.
man. I'm with you.
It's not true anymore. It's now it's investigation discovery.
Oh my goodness.
But
it's really-
going back to it,
That's where I get my learn on.
I don't believe though that this is. I mean, okay, I'll talk in generalizations again. I don't believe that this is a new thing because what wasn't it Woody Allen's movie Radio Days?
It's not as my favorite movie.
I'm not asking your opinion of Woody Allen. I'm saying it was about in the 50s, a true story, right?
Right after the war, right after the war.
Where the girl was buried in the well.
Right.
And the whole movie is about Radio Days, where you listen to the radio. Everybody was listening to the radio.
Well, I used to think reading would make you go blind, and the radio and then TV. I mean, society has changed greatly. over time.
But what I'm saying is I don't believe it's a new addiction. I believe we've always been, looking at other stories going.
The truth of the matter,
we look
I
for
believe,
distractions.
is that culturally we're in this very small sliver of time in the length of history where we have an enormous amount of free time on our hands.
And more time because we're living longer.
Well, we used to have to do a lot just to survive,
Right.
to gather food and eat and whatever. Now all we have to do is watch TV 8 hours a day and go
Life
to
is
Burger
easy.
King.
I think the news brainwashes you too. Like I noticed, it's just all negative. It's all fear, negative, killing, death. Like I stopped watching the news a couple years ago, and stopped watching all like the death programs, and yeah, I feel a lot better.
Now you just watch the Food Network now.
Well, I mean,
Well,
the
I
news,
watch really
but
crappy
the news
reality
is based
TV.
on. I mean, I used to be a newspaper editor a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and there was a saying around, the news circles, which was, "If it bleeds, it leads." So,
Right.
they're not interested in, like telling you stories about, like in South Central, how many kids graduated from college, how many people gave birth. Had all they want to tell you about is all the gang drive-bys, which, granted, are horrible and terrible. But at the end of the day, don't comprise more than maybe 2% of what's going on.
Right.
And worldwide, we're only hearing about 5% of the nonsense.
Right, there's
that's
like
really
42
horrible, but we're
wars
hearing
in the
it all
world right
time.
now.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Someone
We
needs to
hear
stop the
about
Good
one.
News
Right.
Network.
But because nobody wants
That's
to get
what
on
we
the
need. Nothing but
Good
good
News
news.
Network.
Yeah, we're like, someone
That's
does
the
something good.
Oprah channel.
Helps.
Well,
yeah,
in the
yeah.
end of the day, it's no different than the Price is Right. You're hoping somebody doesn't get. Part of you is hoping somebody doesn't win. You want the challenge. It's like nobody ever wants to just turn on the TV and
Well,
see.
that's like the thing I said before, and I think Judah, who's like a pretty good,
Wow, I'm getting a compliment.
No, well, I mean,
Not yet. Hold on,
remembering
it
a
hasn't
lot of
come out yet.
movies. But I had this thing, not a fact, but it was my own personal belief that the majority of movies out there that are biopics don't do really that. They don't really do as well as movies that are made up about fictional people overcoming great odds, because people don't want to know that it's really possible to overcome these odds, and they hear these stories. I mean, people go to see, but the movies they don't do as well, I think, as the ones that are like, it may be based on real people, but are fictional.
How did Patton do?
Well, Patton he doesn't rise up against anything. I mean,
Right.
he was already a general. I'm talking about people that are like starting out with nothing, and all of a sudden they become, or they have some horrible thing befalls them, and they just, and they get their true grit, so to speak, and they're going to move forward, and they overcome all these obstacles to get back on top or to get on top of a situation. When it's based on fictitious people, those movies tend to do really great at the box office, but when they're based on real life stories of people, I don't think they do as well.
That's because it takes away people's excuse to be a total slacker, and like when they see people actually overcome greater odds than they have to overcome, it takes away their excuse. They don't
Well,
see
guys,
that.
I mean, it does not. The
I
case
hate
with
to
country
break to
singers.
everybody, but we're
Well, the country
actually-
singer movies where that's not the case. But I mean,
We're actually running out of time.
Ugh.
I know, just when we get
Really?
started, right?
I didn't even get. All right.
Yeah, well, Marty's just gonna have to come back.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Tell us about
Yes.
flicking your beans some more.
yeah.
And
never
whoa,
heard that
what a
before.
closing thought.
Right? I thought I'd heard every euphemism for masturbation. That's
That's the big cliffhanger.
Yes.
Sometime in the near future, hear me talk
Find
about
out next week
Right, so
where
if you're,
Marty
if,
found.
if you're flicking your bean too much, come back to KLEAN Radio
Yeah.
next Sunday at 10 p.m. Or you can see us on KLEANradio.com.
That's Clean with a K.
Once again, I'd like to thank our guest, Dr. Coe.
Prism Award winner
Tony Dennison.
and star of the closer, Anthony John Dennison.
And our wonderful comic,
Marty
Laquidara. Thank
and
you
Marty,
for having me.
how do we reach you? Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook, my website. Yeah, that's.
You got a gig coming up soon?
Yeah, June 4th. I'm at the Rock Center. It's a AA gig in Garden
cool.
Grove. June 4th, Saturday
cool.
night with Pat Labarrio, and then
The Rock Center, where's that?
in Garden Grove.
Oh,
really nice. And then I have a CD out called Binge Drinking Jail and Other Fond Childhood Memories. It's on iTunes and Amazon.
iTunes, fantastic, and you can check all that out on our website,
You know Bernie
KLEANradio.com.
You know Bernie McGranahan?
And now we're gonna have a conversation, but our engineer's taking us out with some Marilyn Manson. Why
Have
not?
a great week.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All stars now in the dope show.